Dustin Rider here with a review of the Digivolving Spirits 02 Garurumon slash... Metalgarurumon slash Gabumon. I almost said Garurumon slash Metalgarurumon, but no, this dude's name is Gabumon. Anyway, like I said, second released in the series. These are basically like a quote-unquote high-end transforming figure line. You know, both in the US and in Japan we've gotten a ton of transforming Digimon figures, but this is kind of like if Figuarts met that, because it is done by Tamashii. Just real quick, I did want to draw attention to the really neat box. I just think it's really cool for those of you that keep the boxes or, you know, display them or whatever and want to see me in that little reflection right there. But it's just really cool art. It reminds me of like the Digimon cards and stuff. And then, like, you know, on the sides and the back and stuff is just pictures of, you know, the toys, like most Tamashii products. But I really dig the artwork on it. I think it's neat. I'm going to take it out of here, though, so it doesn't steal any focus. So when you get it out of the box, it is in Garurumon mode, so that's how we're going to be transforming it. And overall, I think he's pretty decent. I really held that pretty for a long time. But I feel like he hides himself less well than almost said Gabumon. The names are a problem in this one, guys. Than Agumon or Wargreymon. He just seems a little pudgier. Like, I think there's aspects that are kind of clever. Like, I like the feet becoming the cannons. Like, it kind of works. Like, you can tell they're feet, but at the same time it works for what those are. Like the little tail here coming out of Gabumon's horn also works. This is going to become Gabumon's actual tail, like as Gabumon, and it flings out into these, and that's actually like one of those things where you can tell, like, oh, I know what this is, but also it's honestly not terribly hidden. So I think it's actually pretty well done in a lot of aspects in terms of like making the transformation work out of the designs of both Digimon. But at the same time, I feel like he's just a little bit more obvious. He just seems like a pudgy Metalgarurumon. Like, this is off-season Metalgarurumon. The paint is very well done. As you can see, the details here are really nice, like, or just like the detail of the shine of the paint, if that makes any sense. And as you can see, I've also been moving these around. You can move his little earlings around. That's not even a word. And you can open his mouth there, which is always nice. Gives a little bit of personality for like a pose. That was a terrible wolf howl. Never let me do that again. You got like some articulation, so you can sort of get some poses going on. Some in part is because of the transformation, but you can sort of get him in some like running poses and stuff like that. And you can move his head up and down and around, so again, it gives it some sort of nice personality to it. It's kind of weird with, like, you know, animals having articulation and figure arts and stuff, because it's obviously not going to be as robust in most cases as, like, you know, two-legged things, but it's still nice to have because you can have little things that give it personality. Overall, I think it's pretty well done, like, paint-wise, and they do some clever things, but I just don't think it looks quite as put together as Wargreymon. Like, for Wargreymon, the most noticeable thing to me was his backpack being Agumon's head, but other than that, I think it was hidden pretty well. It's not hidden as well, but it's still pretty solid, and again, there's die-cast pieces on here, so it has a nice heft to it. That's one thing I've really been appreciating about both of these releases, is that, you know, just having them here in my hand when I'm posing them or reviewing them or whatever, it feels like a good quality product. Okay, now for the transformation. Bear with me a minute if I mess up some things. It's kind of like Wargreymon, where it's pretty simple and intuitive, but it's also a smidge complicated if you just start thinking about it too much. So again, if I mess up, I'm sorry. I'll try to edit around it, but you know how my reviews go. But to start simply, this is pretty easy. Just slide these both in here and fold them up. There's little things up here to snap them, and that's going to be Gabumon's tail. You can also go ahead and get this one right out of the way, so you start with the tails right at the beginning. I don't think there's anything stopping us from putting away Metalgarurumon's head. Actually, yes, there is. I'm an idiot. Because I did that the last time I was practice transforming it, but I was like, why not I do that first? Because I'm an idiot. Okay, so for these, you're basically just gonna like flip them all around. Yeah, so sort of pull this out to get it out of the way, and then you're gonna want to pull this down so that this kind of lines up. And then there's like some weird finagling with this. Like, basically, it wants you to have it down like this, and you're gonna want to like twist this around so that this is going to be going down. Because it's going to be like the arms, or the feet, sorry. I got turned around there for a second, but it's kind of weird, like the way they want you to do it, because it kind of involves you like turning around basically. But yeah, let me flip this around. And it kind of wants you to do that. We'll sort of finagle it more later, but this is more or less what you're going to be doing. Like I said, we'll fix it up later, but that's how you're going to be doing it. Let me flip this around again. Fold this out of here. I feel like it's a little bit more complicated than Wargreymon's, but it's all like once you get the hang of it and like you start seeing the pieces line up, it becomes a little easier. I think the most annoying part for me is this, just because you can also, in a way, customize it, if that makes any sense. I mean, not really customize it, but you'll see what I mean when I get to it. But that part's done for now. These parts are going to become like the front hands, and you have these little fists, which I guess Gabumon does have, and I'm pretty sure they just reused Wargreymons, but I honestly think they could have done without them. Like, it's kind of a nice attention to detail in a way, but at the same time I would have been fine without it. But they're on this little hinge here, and you're going to want to like hold it at the hinge base because the fists have a tendency to come off. In fact, I'll be surprised if they don't pop off at some point during this review. But I honestly would have been fine without them just because they are kind of annoying when they pop off of there. But it's whatever. You're going to fold these around so that it sort of shortens it, and as well as hiding that. So let's do that, shall we? And then you're going to flip this around like so, and then snap it down. We might have to change that later, but all right, let me make sure these are kind of out of the way of here. And then it's kind of like Agumon's, where you have these sort of hinge joints that are going to loop around and snap into there, so they kind of have a place to hit. That is definitely similar to Agumon's, because I remember that mechanism. Because it threw me off at first, because on both of them, actually, because whenever I get these, I just kind of do free transformation for looking at the instructions, and I did not see that little mechanism. So that's mostly done there. Okay, now here, you're going to open up this panel in the back, and there's Gabumon's head. It's like a creepy stored giant Halloween mask. And then obviously separate it out and snap it over, and it makes it really easy because you'll know if you're doing something right or wrong because it'll line up right with the horn. And then move these around. They're really loose, these joints here, so very often these will pop out. Again, I'll be surprised if they don't pop out more when I'm trying to do this. But now we can put it, this looks awkward, honestly. Like, how weird does this look? It's like his, you know, is his head. That gives a whole new meaning to it. Anyway, so put that in there. And then just a side note, since I'm not going to be doing reverse, when you're putting Gabumon's head away, just make sure you have these lined back up around, because it's kind of one of those things where you have to get it at least almost exactly right for it to pay off. Okay, so now we have it, as you can see, mostly done. Now these are the weird part, because you want to have them kind of like this, and then the instructions are just kind of weird for me with this, and they kind of want you to have it sticking out basically like that, and then fold these down. And the way I see it with something like this is like, I would say 75% at least the way the instructions are showing it to me. But it's kind of one of those things where, what was that? Oh, that was, see, they fell off. Where you can sort of make your own in a way, like your own way of however much you want it to be sticking off of there. Like here, this is more flushed, but you could kind of put them up if you wanted to. It just depends on how much you want them to be like kind of hidden, I guess you could say. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it like this, and you can sort of finagle it however you want. I don't want to spend too much time doing it, but basically it's gonna be like that. They're gonna kind of be hanging off the back like his extra arms, and you can sort of twist them however you want so that it looks the best for you. Now we're just gonna get him to stand a smidge, and then get his little ear back on there. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Again, I think I messed up a little bit on the back arms, but those are probably the most annoying part, because they're simultaneously trying to get rid of them, but it also is kind of a part of his design. Like, Agumon does have those extra bits. And this one, kind of similar to his Metalgarurumon mode. I feel like he does a worse job at hiding it. Like, Agumon definitely had bits that were obvious of the transformer, but the transformer aspect, but like this guy's bits here, just it can be awkward when you're not finding the right formation, and kind of frustrating. You can also flip the feet around if you like don't want that part showing, like so that it looks like that if you want. I feel there's one way, there's one official way of doing it, but it just kind of depends on the way you want it to look. I just feel like I wish there was a little bit better way that these were engineered, where I know they're a part of his design, but they just seem so obvious to it. But like the colors are well done. I think they did a really good job on the paint for this. It's very accurate to it. Setting these parts aside, he looks very, very Gabumon-ish. That's a technical term. So yeah, it looks pretty good. It's just that bit right there that can be kind of annoying for me. Overall, though, I do like him. I just don't like it quite as much as Agumon, which is kind of a shame because I was looking forward to this because I feel like there's a lot more Agumon stuff done. I mean, in general, these two are probably the most done, but I don't have quite as many Gabumon variations and whatnot. But it still feels like a quality product, which is nice. And it is a little bit better a transformer than some of them I've owned over the years. So if you're a huge Gabumon fan, I could say maybe look into it. But if I had to recommend one over the other, I think Agumon is a little bit better engineered. But again, I'm not sure how they would have fixed it, and this guy still is okay. The next two coming out are a Diaboromon one and a Catwoman one. A Gatomon and Agumon one, which should be interesting, and there's some interesting picks. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those feel. Anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Awesome Writer, signing out.